BBC Radio Solent on this Friday morning. Now, don't go in the water. That's what a local boating and cruising club is telling its members as concern grows about the amount of pollution entering Langstone Harbour. The area between Portsmouth and Hayling Island is popular with bathers and boat owners, and it's an important site for wildlife as well. Local people say they're worried about the impact that a mixture of stormwater and sewage could be having on people's health and on the environment. This is Bob Evans from Eastney Cruising Association talking to me live on BBC Radio Solent in the last hour.
Our clubhouse is immediately adjacent to the storm discharge pipe from Southern Water. They do discharge when the tide's running out, but unfortunately the tide turns every 6 hours, of course, and it comes back into the harbour. We get a lot of debris on the beach, tissues and sanitary ware and obvious other things that just wash up. We've got a lot of family members and a lot of young children that routinely use the water for recreation, and it's just unbelievable sometimes.
Bob Evans talking on BBC Radio Solent. Bob is from Eastney Cruising Association talking to me earlier live from Langstone Harbour, and listening to that is Jeff Loader from Southern Water. Morning, Jeff.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on the show. So we heard Bob there. I mean, is he right to tell his members not to go in the water?
I think we're right in the current circumstances to be careful. We have a significant problem down at that site, which we're currently rectifying. But very simply, in 2010, there was an almighty storm that completely wrecked that station. So we're having to rebuild it from scratch. So things are far from ideal at the present time.
Right, so this is a major operation. And a bit of the background, the drains go into Eastney Pumping Station, which pumps to the treatment plant at Bud's Farm, yes? And just take me through that.
Yeah, very simply, the Victorians built the sewer network in Portsmouth, and they did a fantastic job because what they did, they designed it so the rainwater went into the sewers. So when it rained, it cleaned the sewers and it would stop them smelling. The issue nowadays is, of course, with the huge amount of development since then, there is more and more pressure on that system. So the combined system basically has to discharge somewhere, otherwise it would cause widespread flooding. So we've been working on two projects. One is a £20 million project, which is to divert the stormwater away from the sewers, so basically build a new sewer system. And the second project is a £10 million one to rebuild the pumping station at Fort Cumberland, since it was completely destroyed during 2010.
Now, I'd said to Bob when he was on that you were coming on, and I asked him to say what he would like me to put to you. So have a listen. Here we go.
We understand that no one's to see the city of Portsmouth flood, so we understand they need to discharge occasionally, but the frequency and intensity of the discharge is not acceptable at the moment. And the other thing that maybe they can improve is the notification process. We're only told the day after, or possibly 2 days after the event, when this happens. If we knew when the discharges were happening in real time, that we could pass a message on by Twitter or by some other mechanism and let our members know that it's not safe to go into the water.
So some good questions there, Jeff. Let's just start with the frequency of discharges. Does it have to be as much as it is?
Very much depends on the weather, and I fully sympathise with everything that you heard just then. But we have had these severe summer storms, which are very short, sharp, localised storms, and without a proper pumping station and screening house, which we don't have at the moment because of the damage that was caused back in 2010, that is going to be an ongoing problem. The good news is we've got this project in place. We've got a top team of engineers down at Fort Cumberland. They're basically completely rebuilding that plant. And if anyone locally wants to come and see the work we're doing, we're happy to set up a visit so they can see that, because clearly it is a big local issue. But the idea is that will be sorted for next year.
And then notification process. Is there any way that once that does happen, there could be a swift way, says Bob, for letting him know and indeed the public know?
It's a really good point, actually. And we do notify relevant organisations when we release stormwater, and we do that up and down the coastline, not just in the Hampshire area. And in Portsmouth, we do have a voluntary agreement and inform Langstone Harbour Board and fishing groups and others. If the messages aren't getting through, then we can clearly review that. But it would certainly be in our intention to give people as much information as possible.
Would you look into that for us, Jeff?
Absolutely. Yeah? I mean, particularly at a time when we have this problem, which is, really unfortunate. We've had a pumping station completely destroyed, and we're doing our best to rebuild it, and we're being hit with the weather. So we do have every sympathy, and we are doing what we can to put it right.
Is it true this is such a big operation that you have to have sort of lifeguards on duty to look after the workmen in case it floods and they need rescuing.
That's a new one on me.
Oh, right. Someone told me that, and I thought, is that right? Well, ask Jeff Loader that when I talk to him.
No, that's a new one on me. What we do when we know there's bad weather forecasts, we do change the manning regimes at the stations. So we do man them 24 hours so we can ensure they work to their absolute capacity. The other thing we do put teams on standby to, as soon as the storm subsides, go onto Hayling Island Beach and around the harbour and pick up any debris that's been deposited. But once we get the new screens, the new system in place next year, that should all come to an end.
Okay, Jeff Loader, thank you for joining us. And obviously, if I've got any other questions that come out of this, I'll let you know what they are, and perhaps we can talk about them on another show. But good to have you there this morning. Jeff,
no problem, thank you.
Jeff Loader from Southern Water, clearly actually agreeing with, as you've just heard, the Cruising and Boating Club at Langston, saying don't go in the nearby waters because concern over raw sewage. I wonder what your reaction to that is. 0345 30 13 961. Mentioned the national papers dominant